We've got one more rumored transfer, and that's this guy Thomas Muller at Vancouver. So Tommy Scoops and Ben Jacobs continuing their report that Vancouver Whitecaps are finalizing a deal to bring in Thomas Muller from Bayern Munich to Canada. Now, similar to the Rodrigo De Paul deal in Miami, he's going to hit as a TAM player for the rest of 2025, and then he will go on the books as a designated player in 2026. So currently, Vancouver are cooling off from their wicked hot start, but they're still right in the thick of the race for the supporter shield. So they are 1 point off the top of the West and 5 points off the shield with a game in hand on everybody above them. So then you have to ask, is Thomas Muller the right piece for this run, not only to the shield, but to MLS Cup deeper in the year? And I'm going to be frank with you, I'm kind of hesitant to believe that it is. Mainly because I'm not sure any team in MLS, much less Vancouver, are capable of figuring out how to use him quite like Bayern Munich did. There's always that comment like he created his own position, right? The Roimsdauter, Roims. I don't speak German. I'm sorry, but the guy who just kind of floats between the lines and gets in good pockets, gets the ball and picks out the right pass, right? But how is Vancouver going to figure out how to use that in their system, right? He's a different player than Pedro Vite. He's even more so different than Ryan Gauld, both of which we're not playing at the moment, but in their system, you can find Ryan Gauld and Pedro Vite in wide areas, tucking inside to receive the ball. And if they don't receive the ball inside, they're creating chances out wide and being a successful player in those spaces. Thomas Muller is not that guy. He never was that guy. He never will be that guy. He likes to be in the middle. He likes to create from the middle. And if you're going to use him in any of his most natural positions as a starter, they're either going to have to go up two up top with Brian White, or drop somebody like JC Ngando for Thomas Muller so he can play in that center attacking mid role. It'll be interesting to see how they make it work. But then you need the creative players around him to make the runs the right way, figure out how to read his mind, and support his style of play, which is different than anybody you've seen in MLS so far. And that's going to take time. Now, I think they will get there eventually. They will figure out how to utilize him. But the problem is they need the answer now, right? He can't be a David Goss theorem player where he comes in, he doesn't really do much for the first half of the season or for the last half of this season, and then does really well next season because they're 5 points out of the shield right now, right? They're trying to get into the playoffs right now. So is he the piece that sets them apart for the clear and favorites for the shield or the cup? I don't think so. And that's not to say that he's a bad player or he's going to hurt them in some way. I just think it's going to take time for them to figure out how to use him properly. And right now, they just don't have that time. They can't afford it. So they need that instant impact, and I don't know if he gives it right now. Now, 2026 is 2026 is a different story, right? I think 2026 he will be a great player. They'll figure out how to use him, and with Ryan Gauld back, it'll be very, very fun to watch them both play. But I'm worried that he isn't the right piece right now, and that's my focus. So then we go and ask, right? The rumored salary and what put a lot of people off was he wanted 8 to $10 million. And this is where I lost my interest as well. At $8 million, he's the third highest paid player in the league. Now that Insigne is gone, if you give him 10, he's number two. Those players that you're paying $8 to $10 million a year need to have instant impact that give you almost immediate return on investment that you should be able to see and justify within the first half season that you have him. And we just got done talking about how I'm not sure that he's going to be that player to make that impact. So I struggle to see how his salary demands are worth it right now. Now, I'm happy to be proven wrong here, as I always am with these takes, but I just don't see how a DP signing like this is going to line up for them, especially because of their history as designated players is really, really poor, right? They are not hitting very well outside of Ryan Gauld. They really have not hit well on designated players to this point. I mean, you look back at some of their designated players. I mean, what the maybe Matthias Laba, maybe goes Pedro Morales, maybe, right? But and Freddie Montero. We had Inbom Huang in 2020, Joaquin Ardaiz, nope. Ali Adnan, good player, lasted, as a left back though, a designated player as a left back. Lucas Cavallini, okay, right? And then Sergio Cordova for a year, Stuart Armstrong for 6 weeks. I mean, it's just like they don't usually hit on their designated players, and that worries me for a player that you're going to give $10 million to. And not to mention, they also need to get FCC's discovery rights from Thomas Muller because they were obviously the first one to figure out who Thomas Muller was. And while we know that the discovery rule is crazy, it's not something we're going to discuss right now. We'll talk about it another time.